welcome in. I am Kapualani, and we're here with your timeless general reading. As always, take what resonates, leave the rest behind, because this is a general reading, like anything else. I mean, not everything may resonate. But actually, before we go into the spread, how could I forget? We're going to open up with a little bit of sound, healing, clearing, toning, just offering us some space to tune in, get grounded, centered, cleared, set some goals, intentions, give thanks, gratitude, appreciation to our higher selves, our guides, of angels, archangels, and ancestors, Mother Earth, Father Sky, God, Source, Creator, Spirit, Light, all that good stuff, giving thanks to each other for being here, being present, and holding this space as I give thanks to you for being here. Deep breaths in through the nose, exhaling fully through the mouth with a ha or a sigh. And so it is. All right. So let's dive in. And as always, Spirit, what is our message in this moment? What do we need to know? What is coming through? Thank you very much. So, like anything else, because I feel like maybe not every single time, but the word transition is coming to mind. All right, so let's see. Kind of saw the Nine of Swords peeking out there. So I hope you've been sleeping well. And we've got the Emperor. You got the Emperor. You got the Six of Coins, the Eight of Cups, the Five of Coins. All right, so there's this feeling of responsibility and having to honor the status quo. Maybe you have been, there are bills that you're having to pay, or investments that you're making where, you have the resources, but this little bit of extra that maybe you were not fully anticipating is like, ugh, we're having to accept that this just is what it is and get it taken care of. Okay. I feel like, again, you have the resources to do this, though it may feel a little bit like a setback in terms of whatever goals that you've had. And this doesn't have to relate specifically to money, finances, resources. It could be in any which way where you feel like you've been making some progress or gains, slowly but surely. There may be some feeling of a setback, whether you're going through it, you recently went through it, or it's just around the corner. But I feel like this is something that you already see coming. You already know it, that there's some kind of concession that you're needing to make, that, okay, I was making some progress here, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your career, whatever the case may be, a project at home. Okay. But in some aspect of whatever it is that you've been working on or working through, you're having to move forward and onward. There are certain things about the dynamics of how you've been getting things done and the level of not just fulfillment, worthwhileness is part of it as well. It's almost like, when we see the Eight of Cups, I often think of, all right, we've squeezed the last drop out. You're not going to get any more drops out of this fruit. It's time to move on. It's time to seek greener pastures, time to, seek fresh springs, because we're talking about water here. All right. So there's this acceptance of whatever setback or whatever sort of, all right, I was making gains, but now this expense or this, whatever this thing is has come up. It needs to be dealt with. And it could be health related, physically, for example. Maybe you were making some progress, but then there's a little bit of a backstep. And forgive me, but the best example I can vibe on right now is, you've been very diligent, you've been very responsible, you've been really on top of things, and life just happens, right? It's like you were going down this path and now we've hit a dead end. So it's time to turn around and get, back on course, or to another course or something along those lines. So it may be leaving you feeling a bit down on your luck. You might be feeling like, wow, I'm really bummed out. I was making this progress, but now it's like I have to kind of slow down and regroup or reevaluate what's going on here. It may just be a period of respite, okay? With a five of coins, there is a feeling of, yeah, while we are having to sort of grieve our losses a little bit, whatever that loss may have been, um, this is an opportunity for a reset. And I think I said the word already, but respite. There's this energy because five is an energy of recovery. It's not always the most exciting space to be in, but it doesn't last. And we are seeing a little bit of a step back or a regression because we're going from the six of coins to the five of coins. But the story doesn't end here. All right. So again, I also want to add that if you're feeling worn down physically, like maybe okay, I've been taking these steps to kind of get my energy levels back, get my focus going. There's something that you've been building up on or wanting to make progress on. And again, the way that you've been making progress or the fulfillment that you've sought or the ability to really stay like motivated about continuing on in that path, it's shifting a bit. You're like, oh, okay, I see the wells run dry. Now I gotta, it's like oh man, I was really hoping that this well would just get it done. Like I was hoping I could just fill all of my buckets and that'd be it. But now I'm realizing, all right, we're down to the bottom of the barrel here, the bottom of the well. There's nothing there, so now I gotta go somewhere else to replenish or to continue on in this progress. Okay, so again, it's not over here, it's not done. Whatever it is that you're working toward or that you feel as though maybe there's a little bit of a regression, you're down on your luck, it's just as much as, again, the best example that I have is when you're trying to get in shape, right? And you're making this progress, you're feeling good, maybe you're losing some inches, pounds, whatever, and then there's a little bit of a plateau. It doesn't mean that you even have gained weight necessarily. Maybe you've gained a pound or two that's like water weight, just stuff like that. We're like, okay, now I'm having to shake things up. So that being said, you may feel as though you've hit some sort of a plateau in your progress, okay? But let's see, Spirit, how can we turn this around, or at least what's evolving beyond this kind of need to let go and move on, to carry on in a different way, perhaps? The Nine of Cups, interesting. So we're going from the Eight of Cups to the Nine of Cups. So maybe even beyond your awareness, what's around the corner could be something that ends up bringing you more joy or fulfillment or a sense of, okay, like maybe it's not over. Maybe even though on a physical level, I'm having to switch things up or change how I'm going about doing things, be a little bit more mindful of my budget, be a little bit more aware of who, what, and how I am investing my time, energy, and value. Where am I investing my time, energy, and value? Maybe I'm having to be just a little bit more aware of that so that I myself can feel a sense of inner peace and of fulfillment. Okay. Ultimately, Three of Wands. Yeah, ships are right on the horizon. They're coming in. There's some progress that's happening, and things are going to happen very quickly, okay? So what are those ships bringing? So we got a number of cards. We got the King of Swords. We got the Five of Cups. We got the Six of Swords. So 2 sixes, 2 fives, okay? And it's interesting because we go from 6 to 5 and then 5 to 6. Okay. You're definitely walking away from something, someone, a way of being, perhaps, like old perceptions or again ways of doing things, because this, it's interesting. Also, we got the Emperor and the King of Swords, so there's something that's also being refined. There's something that needs to be shaken up a little bit, that may be shifting the status quo again and how you have gone about doing things, whether it's just routine and day-to-day work, relating, communicating. Let me just tune in here. But there is a sense of moving on. Okay, there are things that are just needing to be dealt with right now, is what Spirit's telling me. There's clarity that's coming. There is a need, again, for a bit of self-discipline. We don't want to overindulge. We don't want to, just because one thing isn't kind of going our way, overcompensate in some other form. Like, I don't want to say a fully unhealthy behavior. But there, you do need to have a sense of a certain level of awareness. You don't want to just kind of let go of the reins fully here in terms of having accomplished certain goals. Okay, things will recover, things will get better. And in fact, with the Five of Cups, this is a reminder to just be aware that there's, try your best not to focus on the losses. Try your best not to dwell too much on what didn't work out, what didn't happen, what didn't come through. Or let's just say if you did have to spend a little bit more money that you were hoping to save up for something else, like you had a bigger picture in mind or bigger goal in mind, but then you had to kind of spend a little bit more than you're comfortable with, to kind of take care of something. Part of what that action is going to do is it will help you to get to the other side of the unknown. For whatever reason, that's just the way the message is coming through. Okay, there's some sort of transition that this is all leading up to. So even if you feel like you're kind of having to coach yourself to move on or to let go, or to accept even what's happening here, things are going to be improving slowly but surely. So again, you will need to be a bit self-disciplined, mind your inner dialogue, and see things in a bit more of a detached space. Just say, I know that this is all happening, for in the long run, it's what's going to benefit me. Maybe I don't want to be so self-disciplined today, but I will appreciate the results in the end. And on top of that, if you have been a bit overly self-disciplined, if you've been too rigid, or just kind of frozen and stuck, this is that sign to step it down a little bit, loosen things up, get excited about what's ahead, even if you're not fully wanting to let go of or move on from, whatever was, or whatever is cycling out, whatever has had its season and is ready to kind of like, it's a turning point. You could even be like, oh man, like I love spring and summer, and I don't want fall and winter to come, just even just something is like that. Okay, I don't know why I'm just kind of getting that download here, but there's an energy also of just paying attention. Okay, I saw 1 2 3 4 on the timer as I was in that message, downloading and just sharing that message. There's something here that spirit want. There's an incoming message. Okay, there's going to be some guidance, there's going to be some clarity, and a way for you to shift your perception. There may be parts, like there may be a person that you're having to let go of because maybe they themselves have been, misery loves company type of energy, and you're just having to accept that, okay, this is just what it is. And it's not necessarily that it's forever. Maybe it's your own energy where you are feeling really sad or down and out about something, but you're just having to compartmentalize, is all I'm saying. We are acknowledging we may feel a certain way, might be a little bit disappointed that certain things didn't pan out, or that we're having to wait, or that we're having to restructure things a little bit, reorganize, whatever I was going to say reorganize, whatever the circumstances are. Okay, but there will be an impasse, or a how should I put this? There will be a time of, for whatever reason, I'm getting smooth sailing. It's kind of like, if you are at something of a plateau, let the calm waters carry you through and to the other side right now. We don't need a bunch of highs and extreme highs or extreme lows. There's something like very middle ground about this. There's something very transitional about this period in time. And for those who aren't aware, I do share these readings weekly. So just know that this isn't something that is necessarily going to be dragging out for weeks and months. I mean, it may spill over, give or take, plus or minus so many days. But yeah, so there was a lot of interesting stuff coming through in that case, but again, you're gonna, it's like, again, suggesting and encouraging you to really look toward the bigger picture. And even though, again, you might feel a certain way, nobody's telling you to deny it. Do your best to process, maybe even a bit of writing, or having a healthy dialogue or conversation with someone, just to get it out, to air out whatever it is that you're feeling or feeling stuck about. That in and of itself, just sometimes when you get things off of your chest, like venting, right? This may be a situation where you may need to go to the right person may be, crossing paths with you, that you can just vent to, and they can just hold the space and not be reactive to any of what you're saying. And you know what I mean? Just someone who's there and just being like, all right, no, I hear you 100%. So let's look at things rationally. You're allowed your feelings, and we're not just going to allow for those kind of lower feelings to keep sucking us down further. Let's just like breathe, like maybe some breath work, well, that will help. Maybe just kind of getting out, I'm hearing airing it out is what will help. Okay, what will help to ease through any, what I mean, this transition. Okay, so what I want to add in here is there will be a part two to this message. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into the messages. Maybe we will break down a little bit on the timing stuff. Well, like, when is this going to turn around? What can we maybe look forward to next, once we kind of get through this period? How can we better support ourselves or be supported, call in support to get through this phase? So yeah, that's going to be in part two. You can find that link in the description box below, in the comments below. It's going to be at kapualani.com/extensions. And that's also where, if you'd like, you can book a live or pre-recorded reading with me, kapualani.com. Okay. So I am going to next up dive into our animal spirit guides and see what animal spirit wants to connect or give us a message today. In part two, we're going to dive deeper, going to look into the guidebook here, read from the animal spirit guidebook. And we're also going to be doing a couple of my angel answer oracles, yes, no questions. So if you have a yes, no question you want to ask the angels, we're going to do that in part two. And also for the romance angels. And thanks to those who hear me saying this like every week, these, my little script here. But the romance angels, so if you have something that you want to focus on in your love life, even if it's not about your love life, as I always say, I look to the romance angels as a connection of what is it that you're passionate about, or just overall, where you're placing your focus, your energy, your heart, and your heart's desires. So animal spirits, who is our guide for today? What is the animal spirit that has a message for us? What is that message? Thank you. All right. And by the way, I encourage you to subscribe just to stay tuned, especially if you find these messages helpful. So we've got bear energy. So there's a lot of healing energy that comes through with bear. There's protection. I don't know why, but this may have nothing to do with the book or the book definition, but for some reason I'm hearing this energy of like transformation, transition. There is this energy of, again, protection, staying strong. We've got that sun as this influence, so there's some masculine energy that we're seeing here, and that only makes sense because especially we've got the emperor and this king of swords here as well. So there's something about how you're projecting your energy, being mindful to your senses, paying attention to your senses as well. Okay, looking toward the future and not allowing for any current challenges, obstacles, speed bumps to stop you. It may slow you down a little bit. Okay, but you are still powerful is what I'm getting, because when I think of bear medicine, that's very powerful energy, powerful medicine. There's a healing energy that's coming through as well with the bear. So I feel like slow and steady. Again, we've got 2 6s, which are about harmony and balance, and this is physically and mentally speaking. Okay, and 2 5s, where we have physically with the pentacles and emotionally with the challenge, with the cups. Excuse me, chalices is what I meant to say. So again, you're kind of like midway in your bigger picture journey of what is developing, or at least what I will say is any direction you want to take is like 50-50. Okay, 50 to 60% the way there in terms of just how things are unfolding, clearing out of one phase of being, opening up to the next phase. So, again, we're in a very sort of transitional space right now. So, join me if you are interested for part two in the extensions again, kapualani.com/extensions. It's a basically pay what you can starting at $1.11. So, I'm making it very accessible for everyone. But I thank you for being here, and I will see you in part two.